plan of how they will tear apart these 10 individuals by going after these three, and now those three backed off. It's your organization that I really feel, and again, I got to thank you, Laura. Your organization, I think, that has the structure that will help us to really come together, and more people will join. Once they see that it's not just one or two people, and I don't have to worry about some of those people coming to my house. You know, I really believe this is our step for this particular problem, our first step to solving it. And I want to thank you, and I want to thank everyone that came today, because it's not easy sitting in this room. It's not easy even walking in here knowing someone may have seen you, and they will talk about it later, and they will talk to 2 or 3 people, and you will get looks. And as far as our own police department, I think it mirrors exactly what you talked about before, the 3 different groups. There are those that are against us. There are those that kind of, and even the ones that want to be with us, which we have. We have some excellent officers in this community, but they're afraid. They're afraid of the powers that be because they're afraid for their job. They're afraid to be ostracized, and they're afraid that if they want to go somewhere else, they won't get the recommendation. The powers that be will make sure they can't get a job somewhere else. So they're in fear. But we have good people in this community, and I really believe that with your help, the structure, and us coming together, that we could take this on and make this community better. Last thing, someone asked me, why aren't you moving to Cornwall? Why aren't you going to Washingtonville? Just get out. This is my town, and this is our town, and there's no point in going to Cornwall. There's no point in going to Washingtonville. Why? We will make this town better than Cornwall, better than Washingtonville, better than any other town, because it's ours. We know each other. We've lived here. And the last thing, I look around the room. There are those people that have been here forever, but I'm amazed at what people may call the newcomers. And those are 5, 10, and 15 years. The people that aren't 5 generations. And that's actually a majority of people in the room right now. And I have to say, that's awesome, because in my opinion, it's not the people that are 5th generation in this community that are Highland Falls. It is you people. It is you people that step out every day to try and do what's right and make a difference. And I want to thank you for that, because without that, everyone can sit back. It's easy. That's why we're in the position we're at. We're only on the move because each one of you showed up today and was here yesterday and 2 weeks ago. So that's all. I just want to say thank you.
Oh, pleasure. Just, 2 quick things. When I first started the group in the Bronx, our mantra, our logo was "Improve, don't move," because at that time the Bronx was burning down, and we certainly understood why people would be moving out. But we were trying to encourage people to stay and fight for what they know is right, which is obviously in line with what you're talking about here today. And then many years ago, there was a British parliamentarian who was speaking against the king in his attempt to crush our revolution. A very brave guy. And he said, when good men, and you could add on to that, extrapolate, good women do nothing, evil will triumph. And that's representative of what generally happens. Fear is paralyzing. Now, if you're trying to go about it on your own, it can be extraordinarily paralyzing. But when you have an organization that has an international reputation and will not abandon you, and will not shuck and jive you, won't do the rope-a-dope, but is in with you the whole 9 yards, then I think you should consider seriously moving in that direction, because if not, then basically evil will triumph. So if the evil is in your mayor's office, in your police department, amongst the very people who are supposed to be helping you, and they're operating in opposite to what they should be doing, well, then that has to be exposed also. We've done that before. We wouldn't hesitate to use whatever ability we can bring that to the forefront to make sure that people understand why you're having the problems you're having here in Highland Falls.
What's our first step?
Well, the first step, I think, is for all of you to meet together. You have your folks who have reached out to us, determine who it is that might want to get involved in the process, and then we can come back and do an orientation. in which we can break it down to the potential volunteers or what's going to be necessary, and then we can set up a schedule as we move forward. And again, schedule it is very much has to be extraordinarily flexible based on the time commitments that people can make. Again, you don't have to give up your life, your families, your work, your professions in order to dedicate yourself to the Guardian Angels. You will determine what time and when you want to make yourselves available. The first is the training, the orientation, and then the next stage is the implementation of the actual patrol.
Is there a cost factor involved here? I mean, does the community have to look at funding?
No, at some point you may want to raise money, for uniforms, the basic implementation of what we do, but at first, other than space to meet with and just getting together in good solidarity, that's really all you're doing. There's really not much cost involved at all. Obviously driving to and from the locations and stuff that comes out of your pocket or whatever's necessary, but it's a very minimal cost.
So the training is all?
Training, we try to find a volunteer who's willing to do the training. Everything, it's like sweat equity. You try to find people in your community. Maybe they don't want to get involved, but maybe they have an expertise in training in CPR and first aid, training in the law, training in basic self-defense and conditioning. And then obviously we come in and do the scenario training, sort of replicate some of the situations that might take place that you might have to deal with when you're out on patrol. So at least you're prepared for it. It's not going to come as a shock if all of a sudden it should happen. But I can tell you this, as dangerous as some people might make this out to be, it was very dangerous initially. We had 6 Guardian Angels shot and killed in the line of duty. I was shot in the summer of 1992 multiple times. When Rudy Giuliani ended the war on the Guardian Angels by the NYPD, it's not to suggest that the NYPD was shooting us, it's just they weren't responding, but we had problems out in the streets. It's as if we didn't exist. We haven't had any problems whatsoever. In terms of any fatalities, major serious injuries, occasionally there might be a training injury, sprained ankle, something along those lines, but nothing to the extent that others might think, wow, this is really dangerous. You're actually safer doing this than trying to just mind your own business and being in the wrong place at the wrong time in your neighborhood when all of a sudden trouble erupts.
Now, is there like, what's the follow-up to this? I mean, I'm sure the community is more than willing to welcome you back into it. I'm sure there's more than enough availability for a location to be set for you to do a follow-up, a monthly thing until we can basically get on, our feet and solidified, so to speak. I'm sure there's, like I said, there's plenty of availability for locations for you to come once a month or until things are started off.
Or, no,
So,
when
well,
it's
I think,
orientation.
it's now incumbent upon those that have invited us, Laura, Kat, some of the others who have been the nucleus in this, to get together that first orientation to see what people want to get involved. I'm sure that Ben and Sherry will make the time to come and do the orientation. Obviously, I'll follow up on that, because obviously I want this to be a success, realizing the severity of the situation.
That's what we need, your strength to make sure it gets off. It gets,
There's no doubt. I take every measure that we take in the Guardian Angels, I take personally, because this is my baby. I created this back in 1979. And if people are willing to get involved with us, I'm going to go the whole 9 yards to make sure that they're not having to deal with impediments and objections that could easily be put to the wayside.
I just have a question. Are you willing to go into also like the high school, having an orientation, community involvement? Because we do have a lot of cadets that are always looking for, the merits of their time, for volunteer programs. And everyone here knows that I own a bar right here in Highland Falls, Side Street Saloon. So I've gotten to know a lot of them over the last 8 years. And matter of fact, I just had 12 of them last night that were alumni that are here for the game today.
Sure.
And 4 out of the the group said, you know, we were here we graduated 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And now they're bringing back their families, the kids, like, what? Like, doesn't anybody have any love for this community where they can bring in the cadets, bring them over, the ROTC, the high school? I should also add that my nieces who were about to graduate O'Neill, they left to go graduate in another high school because they're sick of kicking around the needles in the high school at O'Neill. It's, you know, they shared the video with me, so it's not like, oh, no, it doesn't happen up there at O'Neill. So they left, you know, they were able to go with family, re-register, so that they can graduate and focus on their future. Because they said there is no future, you know, that's Candyland on the hill, and it only serves a small group of people, but not so much, you know, a lot of our own communities. So they left after, you know, being schooled here for 12 years, so now they'll graduate next May in a different community. But there's a lot of drugs, a lot of kids that I think need this kind of exposure, you know. And as I said, I'm in the bar business, so for 7 years, every 30 days, I ask for a FOIL report on our police department. What's the history on Side Street Saloon? I do my own patrol in there. Now, I don't care if you're doing drugs, I just don't want it here.
Yeah.
You know, we have like one little nice place that we can go to, and as I said, you know, the Warriors are in, the Vietnam veterans are in, you know, the alumni, you know, cadets that graduate, we're still friendly with all of them. Matter of fact, we're invited to a wedding in Alaska, which we're hoping to do next spring. So my point is that people have come and gone, come and gone, come and gone. And this is 38 years I've spent here and put 3 kids through school. I had 2 grandsons that started here, and then they left. My daughter said there's no education here. So like I said, they were a product of the graduating class, but they did well, so I'm not gonna, you know, blow a horn on that. But the point is that I think the more that it's exposed, I don't have no more children in the system, but I see an awful lot that most don't. You know, most people are in bed, usually right around the 11 o'clock news. I'm probably going to bed around the 6 o'clock morning hour. So when I see them on the street, and last weekend I was very, very upset. You know, I had to tell them, listen, you know what, I know you had the time of your life today while you enjoyed the game, but I don't want you here. I want your $5. You know, oh, mommy, we're hungry, whatever, what's going on. But I see a lot of good in the kids. You know, forget that they're dealing drugs or they're trying to survive. I just think they need a purpose. And we talk about it a lot, and they're not bad. You know, everybody says, oh, we owe these kids that are drug addicts. I'm gonna stand up for a lot of them that aren't. And I'll tell you why. It's not that they're a drug addict, but you hit it out of the park. People our age, I'm 61. People our age, you know, looking for a hit. So these kids are not gonna party in Highland Falls, but they're gonna bring it back for the people of Highland Falls. And that's where I think, you know, the rose-colored glasses need to come off. There's probably a bigger epidemic here among the older than the younger.
Well,
You know, no passing judgment. I understand the whole fentanyl, and so, as a matter of fact, when I'm done here today, I'm going to go home and change, because a 31-year-old girl in Stony Point is being laid out. She's being laid out today and tonight. She's a mother of 3. So I'm going there today, and it's all because of, you know, she ended a relationship, the husband, whatever, new boyfriend, and he turned her on. And it was mixed heroin.
Well,
So she's in Stony Point, she's, you know, it's not.
As I said before, you know, I find increasingly all over the country, 45 to 60, mostly males, but not limited to males, who are really strung out on drugs. You know, baby boomers like myself. In addition to obviously what we would think teenagers and others and hipsters and millennials, but you wouldn't think of that age group as having severe problems, but they do. So it all has to be addressed, and we would make ourselves available to your original question to make presentations in the schools if invited. The Rotarians, the Kiwanians, senior citizen homes, drug rehab facilities, whoever would want us to come, churches, social groups. But obviously we can offer, but if they don't want us, we can't force ourselves.
We may be able to promote that with the high school.
Oh yeah,
And then,
absolutely.
Because these kids are coming up in rank, and you know, children learn what they live. So, you know, if mom and dad's doing it up,
Right.
you know, and these kids are trying to get an education for what little that we offer.
Sure.
You know, and they're not the privileged, and we know a lot of them are schooled here from
Sure.
across the way.
Sure.
You know, good for them. But the point is, as these kids are coming up, they don't all want to be doing drugs. They don't all want to sit around smoking weed and
Right.
drinking and hanging out. You know, they need a purpose. And like I said, I know a lot of the kids around, I see them around, they're on their bicycles, and they're like, you know, why aren't you going home?